Hey guys, so welcome back to Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. We're in the middle of the class trial for case number 3. We're trying to figure out who killed Hifumi, since we've already established that no one has an alibi for Taka's death, but Hifumi's one is still up in the air. Let's carry on. Kyoko's going to tell us what we need to do now. Right, Kyoko?
For now, we can't get fixated on who did it, or we'll just keep going around in circles. So instead of who, I propose we start talking about how. In particular, I think we need to figure out how Hifumi's body got moved.
That's true. We searched everywhere, but we couldn't figure out how to explain his body disappearing. And according to what Celeste said...
We could not have been gone for more than a minute or two, though. So then the killer was able to get in and move Hifumi's body in that short amount of time? It would seem so.
His body apparently disappeared in the 1 minute her and Hina took their eyes off of it.
Convenient.
But to carry that much weight from the first floor up to the third in that short amount of time?
Oh man, yeah! There's no way! It'd be impossible!
Well, what if I told you there was a way to make the impossible possible?
She's figured it out, I hope.
What? How? If the dead body were to move itself.
It's okay. The way you phrase it kind of spooks everyone, doesn't it?
The dead body moved on its own?
Okay, not dead.
No! Not another... ghost!
I don't think it has anything to do with the occult. I think what she's implying is, we thought Hifumi was dead, but perhaps in reality he was still alive.
Exactly.
He was... alive?
Are you saying Hifumi wasn't carried out of the nurse's office, but simply walked out on his own?
It's the only thing I can think of.
But I mean, we found his body. He was dead.
In the nurse's office, where we just established there's a bunch of blood in the refrigerator we could have used to disguise his death.
Perhaps he was simply playing dead.
That... it isn't possible.
The idea that Hifumi was still alive, is it really possible? Yes. The broken wristwatch?
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No, it is impossible. Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement along with the rest of us.
No, it didn't play when we found...
Hifumi's dead body had been found.
Oh, I mean, that was for Taka's.
And that is why the announcement was made.
Are we really so sure about that? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
Damn, I didn't get a chance to record that one. I'm sure the body discovery announcement was only made once. But Hifumi and Taka's bodies were discovered at almost exactly the same time.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he...
No. Hifumi was dead, and you know that. Surely you heard the body that Hifumi's dead, and that is why the announcement was made.
Are we really so sure? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
Someone else's discovery. Where do I shoot this one, though?
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No. Hifumi was dead,
And you know that
surely you heard the body discovery. Hifumi's dead body had been found.
No,
that's wrong.
it was Taka's dead body that was found.
Was the body discovery announcement that was made really intended for Hifumi?
Of course it was. The announcement played right after we discovered his body.
Maybe. But that was also the same time that Taka's body was found.
That's right. It wasn't long after finding his body that we heard the announcement.
So there's a good chance we've made a mistake in there somewhere.
Exactly.
I think we've confused whether the announcement was for Hifumi or Taka.
First of all, if 2 bodies had been found, there really should have been 2 announcements.
Exactly.
Maybe Monokuma simply got lazy and rolled them together into one.
He wouldn't do that, would he?
What do you say, Monokuma? Any comment?
Well, it's a very sensitive issue, so I can't go into too much detail. But what I can say about the body discovery announcement is that
They played it exactly the right times.
it's only broadcast when 3 or more people find a dead body for the first time.
That didn't answer our question, man. We're asking if you're a lazy bum.
No, actually, that was plenty.
Huh?
He said it's only broadcast when a body is discovered for the first time, which means even if we find the same body again later, he won't make the announcement again.
So when we found the two bodies again, he made the announcement again, which means that the second body was now dead. In this case, it was Hifumi's body.
If that's true, then why was the announcement made again later on?
Huh? Later on?
Exactly. We heard the body discovery announcement twice.
Oh, this is so cool. Byakuya is very attentive. The second body discovery announcement. The first time it played was when we found each body in the nurse's office and the equipment room. And the second time was when both bodies were rediscovered.
I got it! We heard it a second time in the repository, when we rediscovered the two bodies.
And Hifumi died for real. Ding dong, ding dong. A body has been discovered. After a certain amount of time, which you may use however you like, the class trial will begin.
It didn't seem weird at the time, but it contradicts what Monokuma just told us, doesn't it?
Exactly. If we were actually rediscovering both bodies, the announcement shouldn't have played.
Then in reality, when the two dead bodies were rediscovered, one of them was actually
Dead for the first time.
being discovered for the first time.
Or, yeah, that too.
So, when we found Hifumi the first time in the nurse's office, he wasn't actually dead yet. Meaning, he wasn't actually found dead until we came upon him in the repository.
Yes.
And that's just part of it. There's one other thing that leads me to believe he was still alive in the nurse's office.
Oh, I know!
His glasses?
Because he was super good at playing dead! Bada bing, bada boom!
No.
That is the worst logic I have ever heard. But honestly, I do not think there's anything that can prove he was still alive.
Okay then, let's take another look at the events surrounding the discovery of his body. Then it should become clear whether he was really alive or not.
This whole thing is pointless.
There has to be proof that shows Hifumi was still alive. I have to find it and show it to everyone. Hifumi's glasses. Okay, I've been right so far, it seems.
Well, here's one thing we do know. The first time we found Hifumi's body was in the nurse's office. And then, while me and Celeste were in the bathroom, his body disappeared.
And the next time we saw his body, it was in the repository.
But when you compare his body before being moved and his body after being
There
moved,
was nothing different, you say?
other than the change in how it was positioned, there was no notable difference.
Then, was he really still alive?
Of course not. It is impossible. This is ridiculous.
She's very adamant that her series of events are correct. When Hifumi's body was found in the nurse's office and when it was found again in the repository, there's definitely some sort of conflict there.
Well, here's
Let's go.
one thing. The first time we found him, and then
Chase after
his
it.
body
And the next time it was in.
But when you compare his body before,
Other than the change in how it was positioned, there was no notable difference.
His glasses
No,
were
it's
clean.
wrong.
Look at bloody Monokuma having fun over there.
In fact, there was one clear difference between Hifumi in the nurse's office and the repository. His glasses. That fact alone proves that he was only playing dead in the beginning.
Perhaps you'd like to fill the rest of us in?
You can't walk around when there's blood covering your eyes, or his glasses in this case.
When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, his glasses were covered with blood. But when we found him again later in the repository, they were spotless.
Surprised
And
Makoto
I
notices
found
this.
the item he used to wipe them clean in the nurse's office trash can.
The evidence I found in the trash can in the nurse's office was his cleaning cloth.
I got it! It was a glasses cleaning cloth featuring a certain cartoon mascot.
We're making good progress here.
One look at the bloodstain on the cloth should make things clear. This piece of cloth was used to wipe Hifumi's glasses clean. And the mascot on the cloth is the same one that's on the digital camera, right?
So it's his.
And whose digital camera was it? Hifumi's, of course.
The character was Princess Piggles from Demon Angel Pretty Pudgy Princess, I think.
Surprised you remember that.
I highly doubt anyone but Hifumi would have brought something like this to school.
I see your point. And the only people here who wear glasses are...
Hifumi and Toko.
I wouldn't be caught
and
dead
yeah.
using a tacky piece of garbage like that.
A few tissues is all I need to keep my glasses clean.
Then there's no question. It belonged to Hifumi.
So what you're saying is... what exactly?
What I'm saying is, the blood on his glasses was wiped away using his own glasses cleaning cloth.
Even if that is true, it does not mean he wiped the blood off himself.
But who would benefit from a clean pair of glasses other than the glasses owner?
That's a good point.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm here all day. I'm here for the rest of my life, in fact.
And it must have been him, right?
So let's assume that Hifumi was still alive in the nurse's office. He pretends to be dead. Then when he's alone, he wipes his glasses clean so he can see. Then he stands up and walks out on his own 2 feet. And with that, the impossible task of moving his copious corpse becomes possible, wouldn't you say?
Agreed.
But then, if he was just pretending to be dead,
Why do it?
what was with all that blood? Was it paint or something?
Oh, no, it was the blood in the fridge.
The fridge in the nurse's office contains packs of blood for emergencies. He probably used one of those.
He figured if he was gonna play dead, he should go all out, so he just dumped it
Now, the
everywhere!
question is, why would he play dead? And you'd think it's because of his strange relationship to Celeste.
But he got crazy with it and had to wipe his glasses off when he was done! God, what an idiot!
And if Hifumi was still alive at that point, the disappearance of Taka's body is easily explained.
He's the one who moved it.
It should be perfectly obvious who must have moved Taka's corpse.
The one who moved Taka's body was...
I got it! It could only have been Hifumi.
While we were all gathered in the nurse's office, he went to the equipment room and took Taka's body.
That also explains how the door to the repository got locked.
Yes.
The door was locked? Well, after the bodies disappeared, we all went looking for them, right? So me and Sakura headed for the repository. But when we got there, the door was locked.
And the repository door can only be locked from the inside.
But now, did someone kill Hifumi or did he commit suicide? That's the question, I guess.
Which means, when Hina and Sakura got to the repository, someone was already inside.
And it could only have been Hifumi, who just finished stashing Taka's body there.
And everyone was together, except for Kyoko and Hiro, which means the only person who could have killed Hifumi was himself, right?
He convinced us all he was dead, and when he saw his chance, he dragged Taka's body to the repository. So, Hifumi wasn't just another victim in this case. He was one of the assailants.
Yes,
But that means he took part in the murders.
correct.
I just can't believe it.
But why? What's his motive?
If you're having trouble, would you like me to show you one more piece of evidence?
Can't be the money.
There's more?
Oh, absolutely. The single biggest fact pointing to his involvement has yet to be revealed. You know what I'm talking about, right, Makoto? The item he took off of Taka's lifeless body?
The thing that Hifumi stole from Taka. Could it be? The note.
I got it! You're talking about the note Hifumi had hidden away, aren't you?
In his pants, no less.
Hidden note?
That's right. We found it stuffed in his pants.
Well, Kyoko found it, not me. I didn't touch it.
What? In his pants?
Yes, his pants.
Okay, well, forget about the pants for now. Take a look at what the note says.
I found a hole maybe we can use to escape. Monokuma can't find out, so don't tell anyone else for now. Let's meet in the equipment room at 6 a.m.
Ah! That's the note I was telling you about. The one that told me where to go. Huh? Wait, this one's a little different. In my note it said, Monokuma can't find out, so don't tell anyone else for now. Let's meet in the rec room at 1 a.m.
That's a long time difference.
I see. Then this note isn't the same one Hiro got.
It's not the same?
In other words, the killer got in touch with another person besides Hiro. And that person could only have been... I got it!
Not his pants, not Hifumi's
That's right!
pants.
Taka! The killer used this note to draw out Taka and murder him.
Hello? Over here! Objection! Objection!
Go on.
I don't really understand what's going on, but Hifumi had that letter, right?
Did he write this letter?
So whoever wrote it wasn't drawing out TikTok, they were drawing out Huffy!
Really?
Just to be clear, TikTok is Taka and Huffy is Hifumi, right?
No, that's not correct.
Ugh,
I mean, like...
Yes! Why must you ruin it every time?
No, they were drawing out Taka for sure, right? Man, Genocide Jack is seriously scary. But still, I can't let her get to me. No, they were trying to draw out Taka. Hifumi just had the note on him because he confiscated it back. Uh-oh. Oh no, 3 bullets. Broken wristwatch, Hifumi's glasses cleaning cloth. Here we go.
Huffy had the note, right? Then the person it was intended for must have been Huffy!
But remember what the note said. What time did it say to meet?
6 a.m., I believe.
The time doesn't matter! The note has nothing to do with TikTok!
Broken wristwatch is going to be the bullet here. The time on the note said 6 a.m. What happened at 6 a.m.? That's what I need to clear up. Taka died at 6 a.m. supposedly. Sorry, I need to figure out how to change bullets again. I forgot. Mouse wheel up and down.
Then the person it was intended for must have been Huffy!
But remember what the note said. What time did it say to meet?
6 a.m., I believe.
The time doesn't matter! The note has nothing to do with TikTok!
Ugh. Stupid bloody white noise. It's getting to me.
Then the person it was must have been Huffy!
But remember, what time did it... 6 a.m.
The time doesn't matter! The note has nothing to do with TikTok!
It does. It has
No,
everything to do
wrong.
with it. You even said it yourself. TikTok. This watch.
No, there absolutely is a connection.
What the hell are you talking about?
I mean, I'm standing all by myself. Sayaka and Hifumi are both dead and they're standing on either side of me.
The note said to meet at 6 a.m., which is the same time Taka was murdered. We've already proven that using his wristwatch. But there's more. Look where the note says to meet. The equipment room, right?
Which is where Taka was killed. I see.
So, Taka was murdered at both the time and place written in the note. I think that should be plenty to show that this note was definitely meant for Taka.
Well, when you put it like that... No further objections!
So I'm just trying to think about the handbook. How do you get into each other's dorm rooms? Do you use the handbooks? If so, is that where it comes in? Someone used it to go into Hero's room to plant the evidence? I don't know. Sorry, I was just digressing into the handbook theory. I'm trying to piece that one together. I still don't know what that means.
Then someone used that note to trick Taka. Just the same as me.
Anyway, back to the current discussion.
The culprit really is a cold-blooded monster. Telling people they found a way out.
But if they gave the note to Taka, what was Hifumi doing with it?
Stuffed down his pants, no less!
Most likely. Hifumi stole it off Taka's corpse after he died.
Huh? He stole it?
Yeah, it was torn.
Where's your proof? Go ahead, show us.
Fine, if you insist. Proof that Hifumi stole the note.
I got it! When I searched Taka's body, I saw that his lifeless hand was gripping a small scrap of paper. If I'm right about this, the sheet of paper this piece came from is...
The same piece of paper Hifumi had in his pants.
I knew it! It fits perfectly with the note we found hidden on Hifumi.
Then Taka's scrap and Hifumi's note.
Yup, they're from the same piece of paper.
Hifumi had the note meant for Taka, while Taka's corpse still grasped a small piece of that note. There's only one way to explain it.
Taka died clutching the note. Hifumi tried to free the note from his death grip,
And tore it apart, apparently, accidentally.
leaving behind only one small scrap. Did I get all that right?
That means Hifumi knew the note was important.
Exactly. Which proves that he was an accomplice in the murder.
Whoa. Yeah. After seeing all this, Hifumi was super involved in this whole thing for sure.
All that talk of accomplices. But then, why? Why is he helping? I don't understand that yet. We need to figure that out, guys.
In fact, he was behind the whole thing. In fact, he's still alive.
Let's not get carried away.
Sorry, no. When we found him in the repository, Hifumi was truly and completely dead. The second body discovery announcement proves that.
He wanted someone else to escape at the cost of his own life. That's why he tried to pin it on Hiro.
So then, who killed Hifumi?
It's a locked room. There was no one else there who could have done it.
Whoever did is the mastermind, the true killer.
That's why Monokuma's saying the Black Int who plotted this all, they didn't actually get their hands dirty per se, right?
He was killed in the repository. So he must have been killed not long after transporting Taka's body.
Or the person who discovered the bodies in the first place.
So, he must have been killed after Taka's body vanished, but before we found both bodies in the repository.
During that time, we'd all split up and were searching for Taka's missing body. In other words, during that time, none of us have alibis.
Wait, but me and Sakura were together. Stop trying to steal the spotlight, you stupid walrus! Who are you calling a walrus?
Anyway, when they were killed bothers me too. But there's something that's been bothering me even more.
What is it?
And what might that be?
The weapon they used to kill Hifumi.
Yeah, we don't know what that is, but I'm suspecting it's that spotless hammer, right?
The weapon?
Yeah, because I mean, according to the Monokuma file...
Damn it, okay, if the hammer's spotless, then it couldn't have been Hifumi committing suicide because who cleaned it, right? Damn, okay. Someone must have actually physically killed him then.
The way Taka and Hifumi were killed was almost the same, with them having similar fractures and all. But Justice Hammer 3 and 4 were still laying around in the nurse's office and equipment room, right? So if Hifumi was killed in the repository, the culprit would have had to grab one of the hammers, kill Hifumi, then put the hammer back where they found it.
But there's some hammers in the repository that could have been used.
But wouldn't that be seriously risky for him?
But I like your path of thinking, Hiro. Thank you for bringing that up.
I'm surprised. It seems there's some semblance of a brain knocking around that skull of yours after all.
I have to use that line sometime in my life.
Hell yeah, it's packed in there good and tight.
He's right, though. I don't understand it either. The Monokuma file makes it clear that they were killed using similar instruments.
But not exactly the same.
But if the hammers were already laying around those other rooms...
So the question is, how could the culprit have gotten their hands on either of the hammers? Personally, I haven't a clue.
So which hammer was used to attack Celeste? Number 1 or number 2?
Those were accounted for in other rooms too. And I don't think either one is big enough to kill someone.
And it has to be one blow, right?
Then,
Is it not possible they used a different weapon?
Exactly.
I don't think it is possible. They were both killed with the same kind of thing, right?
Similar, not same.
So then, what was used to kill Hifumi?
The weapon that was actually used to kill Hifumi. The whole picture surrounding this case won't become clear until we figure that out. Somehow, I have to find the truth. Okay, closing in now. Some of the things I've managed to piece together, but there's still some things unclear and we have to figure it out, guys. Let's do it.
What was used to kill Hifumi?
The spotless hammer.
Was it Justice Hammer 3? Maybe Justice Hammer 4?
Or was it 1 or
Well,
2?
Whatever it was, there's one thing we have to figure out. How was the culprit able to move around so freely with the weapon? How did nobody witness them carrying it?
sounds like a Justice Hammer 5 is about to make its appearance! Check out murdergear.com/hammertime for more info!
Well, one thing seems pretty clear. The murder weapon had to be one of the Justice Hammers.
No.
And, that's about it.
I think that's the one. Hifumi was killed in the repository, right? So if the weapons used to kill both of them were actually similar.
What was used? Was it just maybe justice?
Well, there's
Go,
one.
go,
How
go,
was
go,
the
go, go, go,
culprit?
come on,
How
become
did nobody-
clues.
Sounds like a justice hammer. Check out Murder Gear Duck.
Well, one thing seems pretty clear. The murder weapon had to be one of the...
No,
No, that's wrong.
I've got another hammer. I discovered.
The murder weapon wasn't a justice hammer at all. No, it was something completely different.
But, seriously? A different weapon?
Specifically, a hammer from the repository. The killer could have easily used that to kill Hifumi. Now, all the hammers in the repository were covered in flecks of grit and debris. But for some reason, one of them had been scrubbed clean.
Huh?
And the reason it had been scrubbed clean was most likely because it was used to commit murder. If the hammer got covered in Hifumi's blood, of course they'd have to clean it off. I'd also like to point out that the repository has all kinds of hammers. Big ones, small ones, and even some flat mallet-like ones.
Now my mind's starting to wander, like swim around. When we went to the art room, right? Sakura and Hina were there. I don't want to think this. I'm probably just going sidetracked and distracted again, overthinking. Hina, I don't think she did it, but I gotta consider that possibility. Maybe she killed them. I mean, she tried the suit on, trying to disprove that anyone could wear the suit. She was in the dining hall with us, but her whereabouts are unaccounted for before then. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Maybe I've been right now. I'm ruining my reputation. Anyway, let's carry on.
I think whoever made the Justice Hammers used those as a basis for their design.
Probably sounding a lot like Hero right now. Just spouting
If that's
mindless
true,
blabber.
that would explain the Monokuma file's note about the wounds being similar.
So Hifumi moved Taka's body to the repository, where someone then used a hammer to kill him.
And whoever did that is the true killer. The one Hifumi was working with. And the one who betrayed him.
Hold on a moment. I still think it's strange to assume someone was working together with him.
And then she managed to wake him up, and then he spouted that stuff about Hero being the killer.
The way the graduation rule works, there is no benefit to helping someone else carry out a murder.
Exactly. Why would he do this? The only reason he'd do this is to help someone escape because he wants them to.
So the idea that anyone would work together like that is simply ludicrous. We talked about this, did we not?
Or he was manipulated. We did talk about how there wouldn't be any reason for anyone to work together. At least that's what we thought at first, but... this is something we need to clear up too. His motive. Spotless hammer again?
Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one person is complicit in the murder, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate and survive. Assuming the rule holds true, it is simply impossible that two people work together on this.
That is how the rule was explained to us.
But that only really applies if there's one murder, right?
There were two murders?
In this case, however, there were two murders.
Can we really say there's no chance two people work together on this?
Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one person is complicit in the murder, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate and survive.
That's true.
Assuming the rule holds true, it is simply impossible that two people work together on this.
That is how the rule was explained to us.
But that only really applies if there's one murder, right? In this case, however, there were two murders.
Can we really say there's no chance two people work together on this? What if someone committed one murder and then the other person murdered the assailant? I have to fire this bullet.
Based
Two
on the
murders on the
rules that have
impossible.
been laid out for us, even if more than one person is complicit in the
Is
murder,
that my line of thinking?
only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate and survive. Assuming the rule holds true,
Yes.
No, that's wrong.
Okay. Good. Well, we're doing good. Haven't really screwed up yet, which is nice.
Since there were 2 murders, it's at least plausible that more than one person was involved.
What do you mean?
If there'd only been one murder, then yes, the idea of an accomplice isn't really worth considering. Naturally, if only one person can be saved per murder, an accomplice has no risk versus reward benefit.
Risk versus reward benefit?
Oh, this is kind of Celeste's language, isn't it?
The payoff for working together. The reward that balances out the risk of taking part in a scheme. There's no point in being someone's accomplice if there's no benefit to you.
High risk, no reward, it makes 0 sense to do it.
However, if there were some potential mutual reward for the risk, then cooperation becomes possible.
But what is the mutual reward?
You're saying that 2 people could act as each other's accomplices to commit 2 separate murders.
Really? So then, would 2 people graduate at that point? No way.
I think that's what the true killer told Hifumi. They would each have an accomplice for their crime. And based on the case's events, Hifumi would have been the first one to act, murdering Taka. They made him carry out the first murder so he couldn't back out of helping them later on.
So in this case, there wasn't one single person committing multiple murders. Instead, each person killed someone, creating 2 separate incidents.
Almost had a heart attack. I was starting to think, what, was it Sakura and Hida working together? Oh, man. So Hifumi's definitely killed Taka, so.
And it only looked like one person because that's how the true killer designed it to look. A single suspicious individual, a similar weapon used in each crime, disappearing bodies.
But would they both graduate if they both got away with it?
By creating one seamless set of circumstances, they made it look like one person was behind it all.
The Mastermind picked their target and managed to convince him to go along with their plan. And then, to avoid the no accomplices rule, they simply killed their accomplice. Which, if true, means that betraying Hifumi was part of the plan from the very beginning.
Makes total sense to me.
That's just awful. How could anyone be so cruel?
You think so? I can't help but admire its cunning. Still, their choice of accomplice seems odd.
The effort made to convince us the 2 murders were the same. That was the main characteristic this time. Kyoko must have noticed that fact from the very beginning, which is why she said not to look at this as a series of connected events, but entirely separate incidents. Kyoko really is amazing. Although, when you think about it, she's almost too amazing. Like, it's almost unnatural how good she is at this.
I understand how an accomplice could be involved. But then, who was the one pulling Hifumi's strings?
That's problem numero uno right now.
The true killer manipulated Hifumi to carry out a number of actions, and in the end, murdered him. In the debates up till now, the way the case has unfolded, when you consider all that, there's really only one person who seems to fit. Right? I feel like we're walking into a trap here.
Here's my answer. It was Celeste.
So I'm the suspicious individual now, am I?
You had a good way of manipulating him before with the tea making and everything.
I really do hate this kind of joke.
Hey, you challenged me first, lady.
A joke? I wonder.
Yeah, but then see, it seems too easy again. You know? Maybe that's the trap, though.
So what you are saying, then, is that I specifically chose to work together with Hifumi.
I'm doubting myself.
The idea that I would choose to spend any amount of time interacting with him, that I would go within 10 feet of that shit for brains, that lazy, worthless, goddamn idiot!
Whoa.
Pardonnez-moi.
Just to be clear, there is evidence to support it.
Is that so?
It is. Throughout the investigation, there was certain behavior that was common only to the 2 of you. Considering what we've learned so far, it only further proves that the 2 of you were working together.
What is it that only Hifumi and Celeste had in common? Encountering the suspicious individual?
I got it! The
screaming
behavior
as well.
they had in common has to do with the suspicious individual in the suit. doesn't it?
You're the only two who happened to see him.
The only ones who ever actually saw Robo Justice firsthand were Celeste and Hifumi.
Shush. The adults are talking now.
Well, fuck you too.
Sorry.
As he said, only Celeste and Hifumi ever laid eyes on the costumed individual.
Finally, yeah, you take it away. Jeez, I've done enough.
If we accept that Hifumi was one of the culprits, we can't help but suspect what Celeste has said as well.
Are you saying everything they told us was a lie?
After taking Hifumi to the nurse's office, we all began our search for this individual, correct? And not too long after that, do you remember what Celeste said?
She saw a shadow. I saw a shadow. Something moving around at the top of the stairs.
We headed to the second floor specifically because of what she claimed to have seen.
But we know Robo Justice wasn't running around, he was trapped in a damn locker.
Next, to draw us all to the physics lab up on the third floor,
She let out a blood-curdling scream.
and when we'd all come to see what was wrong, what was it she said?
Celeste, what's wrong? That was a rather intense scream for someone like you. I saw him, the strange costumed man. He ran off as soon as I screamed. I was blocking the stairs, so he headed further down into the hallway and disappeared.
Once she'd done her job of getting us all up to the physics lab,
See, does this make sense now?
it was time for her partner to get to work.
Yeah. Huh? What was that? That came from downstairs. It must have been Hifumi. He's in the nurse's office. This is bad. Come on, we have to go back.
It was
should just
to
record
get us
that.
to divide into two groups. So that we would discover both bodies at the same time?
So that the body discovery announcement would play.
In fact, Celeste was precisely the one who proposed that we split up.
Then why don't we split into two groups? I'll lead the hunting party. That seems much more interesting. Very well. Then Makoto and Hina, you come with me to the nurse's office. I will leave the capture of the suspicious individual to Toko, Byakuya, and Sakura.
Well, if Celeste and Hifumi were working together, all those chance events suddenly become connected.
And if she comes to the nurse's office, she can manipulate when the coast is clear so Hifumi can get up and carry about his business.
And on top of that, that piercing cry of yours early on.
Also, you were joking about that sort of stuff. That was like a code, wasn't it?
That was to signal Hifumi, wasn't it? It was your way of telling him, we're on the third floor, everything's going according to plan.
No wonder she asked about whether it was okay to do a random scream.
Why else would you let out a scream that could have carried across the sea?
She's silent.
I just realized another strange thing. When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, who we now know was only pretending to be dead,
I certainly was not expecting this. I did not imagine that Hifumi would be murdered.
Celeste, you were the first one to say he'd been murdered.
Yeah, but that's a normal assumption though, right? We can't really bank on that being evidence as well.
You wanted to make sure we wouldn't have any doubt in our minds.
I mean, it's true, she could have done that, but then you could also explain that. It's a natural first assumption.
I don't believe it. Everything, the whole thing was one big act.
Hina, you were with Celeste when Hifumi's body disappeared, right?
Yeah. I was feeling kinda sick, so Celeste took me to the bathroom. Wait! Then that was...
She wasn't worried about you. She just saw a chance to help Hifumi sneak out of the nurse's office.
Each piece isn't much by itself, but start putting them together and the picture gets very ugly indeed.
She's totally silent though.
Wouldn't you agree, Celeste?
I have no idea what you mean.
Don't bother trying to deny it.
I know she's not as cool as Byakuya is, but as in terms of denying it.
You made one fatal mistake.
But what about the handbooks? Where do they come in?
Oh, did I?
I didn't even catch it myself when you first said it, but looking back, I can say that that one little slip-up was your undoing.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about what you said after Hifumi's body disappeared and we returned to the nurse's office.
What did she say? They must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. We're all going to die here. We're going to die just like those guys died.
I remember her saying that too, but I don't understand what's so strange about it.
Then pay attention. Sakura, Toko, and I were first to discover Taka's body in the equipment room.
Is it the plural she used? Did we know they were both dead at that time? She said that?
Then Makoto showed up and told us Hifumi had been killed. So Sakura and I left with Makoto. Once we were in the hall, we ran into Celeste, and the four of us headed to the nurse's office.
She never knew that Taka was dead.
Now, the entire time we were together, none of us said anything about Taka being dead. Think about it. Celeste's comment doesn't make sense. It was completely out of place.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Although I don't really get what it means.
She shouldn't have known Taka was dead. Because no one had brought it up, which means she had to have been involved.
You hear that, Celeste? Everyone's having some trouble understanding. Could you repeat what you said? If you're really not the culprit, you shouldn't have any problem repeating it, right?
Let me guess she's going to repeat it. Byakuya said that Celeste's comment doesn't make sense. But what is he alluding to? Is it really her? Not again.
All I said was, they must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like those guys died. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to finish this. It's obvious, isn't it? What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
But she said that she should have only known about Hifumi's death. With that in mind, what's so strange about what she said is...
All I said was, they must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here.
I could skip ahead, but I just want to hear this one
We are
more
going to die, just like those guys died.
so I can savor it.
And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to finish this. It's obvious, isn't it? What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
No, what? I'm wrong! What the hell? Don't expect me to do the work for you. Figure out for yourself why her comment doesn't make sense.
Shoot!
Let me think about it one more time. There must be a contradiction in there somewhere. What? No,
All
I thought that was it.
said was,
Ugh, my arrogance has
they
gotten
must
to me.
really be enjoying this.
Okay, focus again.
Enjoying
Reset.
the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be
Oh, is it
positively
the wrong way
elated.
again?
We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like those. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to finish. What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
Okay, never mind.
All I said was, they must really be enjoying the sight of us standing around. They must be positive. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like.
That's what was so strange.
No, that's wrong.
Damn, got too cocky. Paid for it.
That's right. There's no reason Celeste should have said, just like those guys died.
It's hard sometimes to figure out which order to fire the bullets in.
When she said that, none of us had told her Taka was dead.
Exactly. And we didn't run into her until after we were all out in the hall. So there was never any chance for her to have seen his body in the equipment room for herself.
So how did you know, Celeste? How did you know more than one person had been killed? And how did you know they were both guys? Because Kyoko had also disappeared, right? So she could have been dead too.
Uh-oh.
You all have such vivid imaginations. You know that?
Damn it, she's not gonna go down without a fight.
Imaginations.
You claim that I was lying when I told you about the suspicious person I saw. Then what about the picture I took? How do you explain this picture of the costumed villain dragging Hifumi away?
You asked Hiro to meet you in the rec room at 1 AM. This is when you did the whole setup, right? this is when you drugged him, then you put the costume on him. Bloody Hifumi there posing like a bloody Disneyland picture, and then you and Hifumi both dragged him to the pool.
It has to be some kind of setup, right?
That's the rec room at 1 a.m.
So let's put the suit on, and then she used the camera's timer to set up the picture.
That's incorrect because it wouldn't fit her.
Have you so quickly forgotten? You are the only one who could have possibly fit into that suit. Plus, I happen to know that this particular camera does not have a timer. In other words, it is an unassailable fact that this is a picture of Hifumi being dragged away. If everything I told you was a lie, how can this picture exist?
I've just explained that.
Simple. Are we sure that's really a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away?
What could you possibly mean by that?
Surely there are other explanations than the one you've offered up.
No, there is no other explanation.
Other explanations? If it wasn't a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away, the only other possibility is Hifumi is dragging the suspect away?
I got it!
Dragging him to the
It's
pool.
not a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away. I would say it's a picture of Hifumi dragging the suspect away.
Oh,
That's certainly within the realm of possibility.
Celeste, how could you?
The one being dragged off in that picture isn't Hifumi, but the person in the robot suit.
That sweat is him trying to lift the suit, not sweat of anxiety.
We've simply been led to believe that it's the other way around. And the strange costume might only exist to lead us astray even farther. If you saw someone wearing something like that in this situation, of course you'd notice and be suspicious.
She's very psychological, isn't she?
That's what happened! You put me to sleep and made me out to be the bad guy in all this!
Such a thing is utterly impossible.
Damn it.
Hifumi was dragging him away? Ridiculous.
Is it? I don't think it's ridiculous at all.
This is going to be a long comic once we have to do our closing argument.
Then shut your mouth and allow me to educate you.
Ooh, feisty. Celeste thinks she can prove that there's no way Hifumi was dragging the suspect away? But is that really possible? Here we go. We're reaching the climax here. Yasuhiro's message is going to be the one I believe, but let's see.
You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out! Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my weight! You tried to make me look like the bad guy!
Like I said, ridiculous. As you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing perfectly upright. If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight like that.
Then the fortune-telling idiot is the culprit after all!
No way!
Damn it. Good point. But is that true? If I remember right, Hina said, she said that she couldn't bend at the waist. Ah, the blueprints. There was something written on it. Have the arms bend like this. These are the blueprints for Robo Justice, which were found in Yasuhiro's room. I need that picture again. I can't remember. I don't have the picture in here.
Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my weight! You tried to make me look like the bad guy!
Like I said, ridiculous.
Pick your target.
As you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing perfectly upright. If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight like that.
No, I got too much in a hurry. Your meaningless words tire me. Please stop wasting my time.
Shoot!
I need to think about it one more time. There must be a contradiction in there somewhere. Shit. Okay, we're starting off good, but now I'm losing the focus. The costume is the other one. No one but Yasuhiro could have possibly fit into the costume. In addition, anyone wearing it would not be able to see their feet or bend at the waist more than 90 degrees. Oh no, I'm gonna get stuck
You
again,
tried
aren't
to
I?
make me look like the bad guy.
Like I said, ridiculous. As you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing perfectly upright.
I wish I could see this picture again.
If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight like that.
Then the fortune-telling idiot is the culprit after all!
No way!
Right, okay, actually. You can stand up straight. It's the only way. You can't bend, so even if you're unconscious, it will stand up straight no matter what. Right, okay, I think I got it.
Dress me up in that then you just drape me across. You tried to make me look like.
Like I said, as you can see in the picture, if the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up.
Gotcha.
No, that's wrong.
This time, not stuck until the last 59 seconds.
No. Even if the person inside the suit were unconscious, they could still stand up like that. Because that Robo-Justice suit had a certain characteristic.
Can't bend, only the arms can. You totally can't bend at the waist. Seems like a pretty obvious oversight.
That's right! They totally made a mistake when they made it, so it couldn't bend at the waist.
Was it a mistake, though?
I'm not so sure that was a mistake.
Exactly.
I think the suit was designed from the beginning to be used the way it was.
Uh-oh. I've never seen her react like that before.
Celeste and Hifumi took the suit they'd specially designed and stuffed Hiro into it. That's how they were able to fake that whole thing. The point of it all was to make us believe whoever was in the suit was to blame.
For the ultimate gambler, you're not feeling very lucky right now.
Well then, I suppose this is checkmate.
Checkmate?
Don't make me laugh, you idiot! What do you mean, checkmate?
Oh god, she's dropped her accent.
Celeste?
Clearly, you want to cram me into your little guilty box. Well, there's one little problem.
Have you already forgotten what Hifumi told us as he lay dying?
Yeah. Means jack shit, he's your accomplice. Of course he'll just make some shit up. Hey, Hifumi, who was it? Who attacked you? Who tried to kill you? Who killed me? That's right. I remember their name. Yasuhiro.
When we asked him who had attacked him, his answer was quite clear, was it not?
Oh god.
He said, and I quote, Yasuhiro.
In other words, Yasuhiro Hagakure!
Whoa.
Right! But my name isn't really Yasuhiro! It's actually Taro!
What?
Your confusing statements don't make any sense. You're only making things more complicated.
He did say Yasuhiro, but are we sure he was really pointing the finger at Hiro?
What the hell are you talking about? I'll burn you alive!
What is that supposed to mean?
Kyoko, what do you mean by that?
Think back to how Hifumi used to talk to us. How did he refer to each of us?
Oh, he's Mr. Naegi and stuff like that, right?
I got it! That's right! Our last names! He called us all by our last names!
And Miss Fujisaki?
Exactly. I know I heard him say Mr. Naegi more than once, for example.
Exactly.
So if Hifumi did mean to say Hiro's name, he would have said his last name, Hagakure.
I'm sure it was just incidental. By chance, his first name.
Indecent?
Don't talk.
Random chance. Now isn't that a convenient explanation?
You know, I'm surprised you all keep writing me off. I'm the one who comes up with this shit.
No. There's no reason to think he would have said the name any different than normal. But he must have run out of energy before he could say any more.
So Hifumi was trying to tell us the last name of whoever killed him?
But hers is Ludenberg. Unless it's a fake surname.
But the name he said doesn't apply to anyone here.
Well, she's not Japanese.
Well, no. Hold on. There's one person it could apply to. And that's Celeste. She never actually told us what her real name is.
What did you just say?
Yeah, it's like a different name. It's like a German name.
To think you'd take your false accusation so far, I don't know whether to laugh or spit!
Die is what you will do.
Come on! Enough with your idiotic blather! Yasuhiro is a loser's name! Do I look like a loser to you?
In this instance, unfortunately, yes, you do.
Well, do I? What? I think I've earned the right to be a little on edge.
Okay, then fill us in. What's your real name?
A little on edge, eh? Well, she can just make it up. Oh, the handbooks!
Fine. Make sure your ear holes are wide open and listen up!
Kyoko, you, the handbook!
My real name is Celestia Ludenberg. Could you please stop making me repeat myself over and over again?
That's how they come into this! Celeste still won't give up, so then I have to do something to make her accept it. Oh, I've got you now. I've got you. E-handbook, spotless hammer, Yasuhiro's message.
Hifumi was trying to tell us something. He wanted us to know the killer's last name, Yasuhiro.
If there's one person here who might have that last name,
It would have to be you, Celeste. You haven't told anyone what your real name is.
Oh wow, we only
how
have
many
3 minutes
times do I
50.
have to tell you? My name is...
Celestia Ludenberg, god damn it!
Shit!
How long do you plan to go on pretending?
I'm not pretending. It's the truth. And since you have no way to contradict me, that's the only truth there is! Moron!
Bring it on. If I remember, there's something here that shows its owner's real name. I'm sure Kyoko mentioned something like that at some point. It may not be related to the case, but it might come in handy anyway.
Hifumi
Oh,
was
I'm so
too
excited.
wanted us to know the killer. If there's one person...
It would have to be you, Celeste.
How many times? Celestia Ludenberg, god damn!
How long do you plan to go on?
I'm not pretending. It's and since you have no way to contradict...
Your white noise isn't
No,
going to protect
that's
you
wrong.
here.
That's it! The handbook!
What?
Anytime you turn your handbook on, it shows the owner's name when it boots up, right? Monokuma told us all about it before.
This handbook is absolutely vital to a healthy school life, so don't lose it. When you start it up, it will display your name. Always make sure you have the right one. Now, this is not your everyday hand notebook. It has so many more uses than that. In this case,
So all we
it's
have to
proof.
do is check her handbook, and that'll clear up everything. That's how we can find out Celeste's real name.
That's an invasion of privacy. I refuse to cooperate.
Celeste, can you please just tell us what really happened? Please, just tell us.
Even when I'm put in check, it's just my nature not to give up. Because...
You never lose, up until now.
Until the game's over, you never know what might happen.
That's a good philosophy in life, but I think we know exactly what's going to happen.